Hey everyone, welcome back. The international break is almost concluded here, so we're going to be getting back into the Serie A season soon. I just wanted to go and make a quick video on some of the newcomers to Serie A after the January transfer window. Some of them have already made appearances for their teams because they were earlier in January. Some of them came right at the deadline. We'll look what kind of price they are. Are they worth bringing in? Obviously, there are so many more transfers that happened in Serie A. If you think that there's some that are also notable that I missed, let me know in the comments. And let me know your point of view on some of the players that are there. If you're liking videos like these that aren't just game week preview and review videos, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know what else you'd like to see. And without further ado, we'll go on. First one that I'm going to look at is Axel Tuanzebe. He is a defender that's coming from Manchester United. So obviously experience in big leagues. He didn't play a ton over at Man United when you had the likes of Harry Maguire to compete with for a spot and stuff like that. But coming to Napoli, he almost gained a spot right away. He's played a cup game, and I think he started a few season games already. He was the replacement for Manolas, who had moved on, and he's only 4.5 million. So during a time where Napoli has some good fixtures, and obviously we know Napoli can keep a clean sheet in every given game if they play to their best, he's a really good way into that defense. Not as attacking as options like Mario Rui or Di Lorenzo, but definitely an option if you're looking for a solid opportunity at a 6-point clean sheet every week. And that would be Napoli's, I think, big transfer in of the window. A team that made a pretty big splash for good and bad reasons would be Fiorentina. Obviously, probably one of the most notable things of the transfer window that happened to Fiorentina was losing Dusan Vlahovic, who has been standout in Serie A this season. But they did replace him with two other forwards that, with their price, could be really good options now. With Piatek, who's already played and scored for Fiorentina. I think he's only scored in the cup game. I don't know if he's scored in a season game yet. But he came from the Bundesliga, so a big league as well. He's had lots of Serie A experience, played with Milan and Genoa. And he's only 6.5. Now, there are some better strikers. I don't even necessarily know better. I'd say around similar caliber strikers, such as Sanabria and Scamacca, who have been doing well and are at a cheaper price point. But maybe they were only considered better before because he was playing behind Vlahovic. If Piatek is now the main guy, that could be a really good option if Fiorentina continues to play well. We also got Arthur Cabral in there, who is also coming in as a forward, same price point at 6.5 million, coming from Basel. So Swiss league, not one of the biggest leagues, but Basel's probably the biggest team in that league, generally a Champions League team, stuff like that. He's a younger striker, will probably play under Piatek, and could be a really good option as well going forward, again, at a decent 6.5 million price tag. These aren't necessarily players that I'd go to choose for a first striker, but if you need someone that allows money to be put elsewhere on your team, they're good options. Lastly, a good option as well is Jonathan Ikone. Came from a little top 5 league, but it's French league, so it's not great. But he has been playing in for Fiorentina week in, week out, and making an impact. So we know that he's going to be a starter in the squad. He's a quality, plays more of a winger role, and at 6.0 million, not super expensive either. So Fiorentina brings in 3 decent options, all kind of budget players that don't take up too much of your cap based on where they're playing. And yeah, if you need some money to throw elsewhere and you want to take a chance on one of these guys, I don't think any of the 3 of them would be that bad a decision. Obviously, we already know Piatek and Ikone should be playing week in, week out, and we'll see what happens with Cabral. Roma made a splash earlier in the transfer window, acquiring Maitland Niles and Sergio Oliveira. Both have already been playing for Roma. Maitland Niles came earlier and almost looked like they was going to take over, and he's still actually been playing some of the wingback roles, coming from Arsenal, so obviously some big league experience. Now, from my experience with Maitland Niles, when I saw him more in the Premier League game and now seeing him in Roma, he kind of has more of a wing back role, playing a little further back. He almost takes on a similar style to Cuadrado, so He is only 5 mil, so it's not a bad price for someone like this. But I'd say if he was listed as defender, obvious player to go to. Listed as a midfielder, I'm a little more hesitant to because he's not necessarily going to be as far up the field as you'd want a midfielder to go. But he is cheap. He does have experience, and he might be able to make a splash. I think I'd wait to see him start getting those attacking returns before I start hoping he does. So I want to see him prove it first. So I don't know if I'd go personally for Maitland Niles right away, but I don't think he's a bad option. And Sergio Oliveira is someone that I'm definitely going to have to look at. He came in the January transfer window and has already gone up in price because he's a cheap midfielder. He looks like he's starting, and he already took a penalty for the team. So if he's coming in at 5.6 million and he's taking on penalties, then that's a huge player to have in your squad to allow money to be used elsewhere. Solid midfielder, and like I said a couple times already, taking penalties is huge, especially for a cheap player like that. So Sergio Oliveira is definitely a player that I already have my eyes on. As well, he's playing in Roma, so can't really go wrong there. Now we're getting to Juventus, so excuse me for being excited for a second as a Juve fan, but having Vlahovic come to Juve, finally a big sign that they've made, that they've needed to make for a long time. Juventus had a really good transfer window, I think. Not only getting Vlahovic, which is a really target man striker that they've needed since Ronaldo got transferred out in the last window. Morata just hasn't really been cutting it as far as the caliber of a team that Juventus kind of striker should have. And now this gives them a target man to go for that we know can put it in the back of the net in this league. He's going to have better players playing around him now. The only thing is, if they're going to keep playing Morata, I don't think Vlahovic will be someone that just gets rotated game in, game out with Morata. I think Vlahovic will be seeing the game almost all the time. I just also think Morata is still going to see a lot of time as well. So I could see them playing with a front two. And I don't know if that will make Vlahovic appear less of a target man than he was at Fiorentina and therefore have less opportunities than he's used to. So that itself could potentially bring down his stock a little bit. He's obviously at first in Serie A points right now, so he's good in fantasy, no question. Is he worth a 10.6 million price tag? He definitely has been up to this point. It's just going to see how he fits into the Juve squad, how he's used with Morata still in the squad, because I was almost, as far as fantasy, hoping if they're bringing Vlahovic in, get rid of Morata. But I'm definitely keeping him. Juve has really good fixtures coming up, and I think it's only going to get better with Vlahovic in the squad now. Hopefully challenging for that Champions League spot, and who knows, there's still a lot of season left. The other player they brought in, which is interesting, is Dennis Zakaria, coming from the Bundesliga in Borussia Mönchengladbach. He does sound like he's a little more of a defensive midfielder, but plays box to box as well. So I don't see him getting deep into the 18, but maybe a couple cracks from outside the area. At 5.5 million, I don't think it would be a bad decision to go for him. I do see him getting right into the squad as well. Juventus relieved Bentancur, Ramsey, and Kulusevski out of the midfield in this window, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm really glad about Bentancur and Ramsey, not players that I was a fan of in the Juve midfield. We need better guys than that. But Kulusevski I would have still given more of a chance to, but regardless, he's gone as well to the Premier League. So I do see Zakaria getting in. I'm excited to see how he does in the squad. With him and McKennie in the midfield, I can see them making some stuff up. We're got a youthful midfield now, so hopefully they grow into the squad and start bringing us back to that creative, high energy midfield that Juventus had and should have. Inter made a really big transfer in acquiring Robin Gosens from Atalanta. Not only is that a huge step up for Inter Milan, who already has a good defense, but we know once Gosens is healthy, which he hasn't been for a while, but once he's healthy, he's going to be in that squad week in, week out. A team that can already get clean sheets often is going to get even more. He's an attacking defender, someone that could probably rival Theo Hernandez in acquiring fantasy points based on attacking returns as well. And that really hurts the Atalanta defense as well. So something to keep in mind. I know he hasn't been playing anyway, so you can kind of expect it to stay how it is. But he is not going to be back there elevating that attacking risk from the back. But once healthy and after a look at Inter Milan's fixtures, Guzans could be someone I'm looking at. I'm just going to move my chat head for a sec so we can see the price on Caicedo. Obviously, one last thing is Guzans is a very expensive defender. Maybe if you're paying that much, you might as well go for Theo Hernandez, but we'll have to see how he fits into Inter. As far as Caicedo, I'm not really that big on the guy to try to bring him in, but I think it's important to talk about him. He is a cheaper mid or forward, but now if he's going to be a forward, there's going to be a rotation between Dzeko, Lautaro Martinez, Correa, and now Caicedo up front. Now I'm sure it'll be once in a while. I don't think he's going to be a main guy in there. The main two will still be Dzeko and Martinez. But it will complicate that attacking rotation a little more. Obviously, Caicedo has Serie A experience. He knows how the game's played here, so he could be a threat when he does play, but I don't think he's going to be someone that I'm going to be looking to bring into my squad anytime soon. Now, just a couple players we're going to be looking for that aren't as high profile, but kind of are in the fantasy world. Boga coming from Sassuolo. So obviously knows the league. He was one of the bright spots of Sassuolo during the season. They've been kind of crappy aside from Berardi, really. And Scamacca has been making noise as well. Boga was another one that was doing pretty good. I think you can find better midfielders around the 6.2 range than Boga. But if he starts really working in and is able to work with guys like Pasalic and Zapata and going forward, it really just depends how attacking he is. That does worry me bringing that midfielder if he's going to be rotated with Pasalic more, as I obviously still have Pasalic. So I'm hoping that he's either going to bump someone else out or play in a bit of a different role. But someone I'm going to keep my eye on as a potential cheaper midfielder if I need one. Stefano Sensei, someone that has not made very much noise in Serie A this year. He's got almost no time for Inter, very low on fantasy points. But in the past, we know based on the Italian national team and Inter, he can make noise. And if he's now going to get more of a lead role in Sampdoria and play alongside Candreva, well, now this opens up opportunity for their Stensi to get some quality points and assist their goals. And at a 4.9 million price tag, you're not going to find many starting midfielders at that price point that have potential to get attacking returns. So he's not someone that I'm going to be trying to pick up right away, but definitely someone that I'll be looking at, especially if Sampdoria has a good run of fixtures. One of the things is I do already have Candreva on my team. Do I want two midfielders from Sampdoria? Probably not. But even if he's someone that just allows me to clear some bank space and sit him on the bench, he's like kind of that throwaway that if you do need him to come in, he'll probably come in and get you points. And if you have faith in him and they're playing someone like Salernitana or something, you can throw him in. But at the end of the day, he'd be someone to clear up some bank space for you and put that either into your attack or defense or other midfielder, really. Going to Venezia, I just thought it was interesting, one, that Venezia acquired someone from Bayern Munich in Michael Cuisance. He has good experience because he's trained with Bayern, not because he's played a lot of games for Bayern. I think he actually only made one appearance, but he's worked in that academy, which is a very good academy. So there's definitely potential that he's learned some things there and ready to apply it in a first team. He has already been playing games, hasn't made a huge splash yet, but he's only 4.5 million. Again, someone that can sit on your bench most weeks, but you can bring in for 1 or 2 points or maybe more, depending on how he continues to grow in, if he gets more of an attacking role or not. Not someone that I'm looking to bring in right away, but an option, again, if you need bank space and you want a starting player. And the last one that's kind of cool is a Nani coming in from Orlando in the MLS back into a top 5 league. And I think it said in his first 120-ish seconds, he already got an assist for Venezia in his first game. So he looks like he's going to be an impact player there. Obviously an older player that's seen professional football for a long time. So very experienced, knows how to use his weaknesses and turn them into strength. It's hard to know if he's going to be a consistent point getter with Venezia, but we saw Adamu do it. And so why can't Nani do it as well? I don't see him playing 90 minutes every game, if every game at all. So that's one thing to keep out for, just based on his age and needing that extra rest. But I don't think he's a bad option, especially at 5.5 million. If you go with him and you see some good fixtures for Venezia coming up. And lastly, we're going to look at Salernitana, a team that I've kind of been down on most of the year, and I kind of still am. But I think they've added two good attacking players to their roster. Lys Mousset, who played decent time for, I believe it was Sheffield. He is going to be joining them and probably be their #1 striker from here on out. He's got that Premier League experience. And he'll be their target man, pacey forward, and can definitely score. And then we got Simone Verdi there, who is listed as a midfielder at 5.3 mil, so not bad. But he's more of an attacking midfielder. And I can just picture Mousset, Verdi, and Ribery all teaming up together and getting stuff done, I think. So I can see maybe a few more goals coming in Salernitana's future. They're really trying to save they save themselves from relegation here. And will it be enough to get them out of relegation? Maybe not, but maybe put up some more goals than they've been putting up. So that's why I thought I'd highlight a couple Salernitana players. If you're in a pinch and need some cheap players and you see that they might have some good fixtures, maybe take a flyer on them, especially if you're in a mini league and you need differential on someone. Not players that I'm probably going to be bringing in anytime soon, but I wanted to point them out. And they are some players coming from big leagues, obviously Verdi coming from Serie A as well. And once again, thank you. I hope you liked this video. Let me know if I missed anyone that you would think to bring in. Are you bringing in anyone already? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please really help me out. We're almost at 80 subscribers, which is awesome. And I've had some conversations with some fans recently, which is nice. One wants to be on a video. I'm not against the idea, so maybe we'll see that happen soon. If anyone else wants to dabble in stuff like that, DM me on Twitter and I'll get back to you. Take care.